Hey everyone, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. We're back at it again with our hosts. I'm Josh, SalvationsElite. This is to my right is Sam, Bash_BO3 on Twitter. And in between us, as always, is Rex, ShadyNero. Boys, what's going on?
What's up, Josh? I am feeling like a tidal wave of the Joker's eyes are seeping into my skin and making me feel things I've never felt before in my life.
Man, the Joker's eyes. You know how that happens once in a while. You just get those Joker's eyes seeping into you. It's the worst. Sam, you got the Joker's eyes going on?
Yeah. What just happened? Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Regain, yeah? All right, perfect.
Doing great. Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, today, we're talking about CDL Atlanta. A massive tournament for COD. I mean, everyone's hoping and just everyone wants to see the matchup, the Huntsmen versus FaZe matchup. Maybe we'll get it. Maybe we won't. If we don't, it'll be a pretty big deal. So we'll be going through it all today. Obviously, per usual, as I said before, you can find us on Twitter, at SalvationsElite for myself, at Bash_BO3, and at ShadyNero for Rex. And if you want to listen to us, and not just watch us on YouTube, which you can if you want.
Absolutely.
We're available on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, we really do appreciate the review, the rating. It all means a lot. Helps out the show. We really do appreciate that. So, with that said, we can get right into the news of the week, the latest news of the week. There's been some pretty interesting things this week. Hopefully, eventually we'll have like a cool drop to play or some like type of like sick drop for these test segments. But for now, we're sticking with this. The first big news of the CoD League, the first real massive roster change of the CoD League, which happened later last week. Enable was officially benched by the Seattle Surge, and in comes a new face to the CDL. Yes. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on the whole situation with Seattle and Pander being brought up? Rex, what are your thoughts?
I think it was good. If you saw the clip, I've been thinking since the beginning that Enable has lost his touch a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're planning on keeping Pander around for long. I honestly feel like it was either like a team-based move or an org move to be like, all right, this guy is not caring enough, and we need to light a fire under Enable. So that's what the whole purpose of it is. And I think it's like, okay, Enable, go away, train alone. Don't worry about having to compete and win. Just get better at being like your best player, and then we'll bring you back. So their whole plan, I think, is to bring him back to the starting roster.
No, I mean, makes sense. Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm curious if we're going to keep seeing these benchings, or if we're going to start to see more of
trades.
Like a substitute. Yeah.
Oh.
Trade. Okay, well.
I completely view a different way.
I guess we're both here. Yeah, trades, or like, are we going to start seeing like maybe substitutions mid-series? Like, I still feel like that's a viable option.
Could this turn into the
S&D,
Proto comes in for, or Pander comes in for S&D?
It's
possible.
But regardless of that, just with the whole Enable for sure being benched, I guess if you're just looking at numbers, it makes sense. But like, do you consider it too early of a drop? Like, look at 100 Thieves last year, right?
Right. I mean, they're about to blow up that roster. They bring in Priestahh, and then everything changes for them.
So I don't know.
When it comes to Seattle, I mean, we were looking at either Enable or Slacked. I mean, those were the guys where you're like, okay. I mean,
probably
at some point,
something's got to change.
Something's got to change with one of these guys. Enable got the short end of the stick for whatever reason. It seems like Octane has like some type of thing with Slacked. They go back in history, but I made a video about it. So I mean, if you even watch the video, they already know my opinion as a whole. But basically, I agree there had to have been a change made at some point for Seattle. Probably sooner than later was a better option. Yeah. I'm not convinced Enable's the worst player than Slacked though. At this point, like that's the thing. Like it could have gone either way.
But you saw the Enable. I mean, I feel like I can't be alone that you saw Enable was not the Enable we know. Right? He was cursed with the Oak Boys curse. Where everyone who's in that.
I don't know about that.
It's terrible.
I don't know about that.
That might just be your hatred seeping in.
Yeah, that's that bias.
Don't roast me too much. But I think this
Every time, dude.
the whole purpose is for him
The
to
Oak Boys.
focus on himself, get a lot. But he even said that there's a little fire under him that was missing, and he's gonna come back. And I think he will come back and be the Enable we know.
Yeah, I mean, he's handled it really, really well.
Yeah.
I mean, we did talk about last week, like, before, or like after freaking, wow, I can't talk. After London,
Yes.
that was a struggle. Wow. But after London, we did talk about how, like, we thought Seattle needed to make a change, and we did definitely point to Slack and Enable. I just think, like, I agree that I think Enable end up finding a spot. I mean, in your opinion right now, like, what do you think is more likely? That he ends up, let's say by July, or let's say by June, that he's on the roster starting, or is he on a different roster? What's more likely at this point?
Enable?
Yeah, Enable.
It's weird because, like, you kind of take in contracts into consideration.
Yes.
Is there, like, restrictions there?
So, Enable did talk about it on stream. Someone asked him, and they said he has a no trade clause. Well, a no trade clause, or a trade clause in his contract where he can veto trades. Okay. So they can't trade him unless he's down to make it happen.
Gotcha. Interesting.
So it would have to be a decision where Enable thinks it's a better option for him to be traded than it is for Seattle to, for him to stick around in Seattle. Man, tough day for me so far, but I don't know. I mean, Rex, what are your thoughts?
I think Enable will come back. I think he'll end up being back on Seattle as a starter. If not that, he might honestly end up at OpTic Gaming.
Yeah.
Because OpTic Gaming, I mean, I guess we haven't seen them in a while. And plus, Oak Boys connections. But I think so I can see it happen because I can see OpTic making changes to their roster too. And I mean, Enable would like going there also. Yeah,
the weird thing about the whole Oak Boy...
Holy
bro. The weird thing about the Oak Boys thing in LA is that he'd be replacing JCap.
Yeah.
In that, I mean, right? You'd assume at least.
Yeah.
In that roster, so like he'd be replacing the other Oak Boy, which I don't know if that's exactly what he wants.
And then JCap turns into a coach. I could see it.
Well, that's the thing though. In a world where maybe JCap wants to just take the back seat, that could happen if JCap is willing to take the back seat. So we'll see if that actually happens. I'm not convinced it will. I would go like 55% chance he's still on Seattle come like June.
Yeah,
but
and the other percent just kind of random. Like, I mean,
yeah, like
I would like to see that OpTic thing happen because it would just verify everything I ever believed. But
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. In the stream, Enable said that he wants to at least be on Seattle until the LA event, which is in March.
Next one.
That's the thought there is that, okay, well, then if things don't go his way, then I see a world where he's traded. I just don't think very many teams, like I mentioned in my video, not very many teams would be that excited about getting Enable. Besides, like, the Guerillas, Toronto.
Yeah. Mutineers, I bet they would like him.
Maybe Mutineers, maybe...
Yeah.
And then OpTic. There's maybe like 3 or 4 destinations for him, potentially.
You don't think Dallas, maybe?
No.
I don't think Dallas would do it, but
no.
I don't see it as totally impossible if they continue being back. Because Enable's a good player, and he's a face that is going to bring your brand recognition, which is what...
It would just be surprising if they...
Like.
That means they just have that little... They have that little faith in Shotzzy that... I just don't see that one as...
Well, Shotzzy has to pick it up. Otherwise, something will happen to him.
True. I mean, I agree, because the other 4 guys have been looking decent, especially...
They're not going to keep him and just keep being terrible.
Crim and Clay. Yeah. No, I agree. So, I don't know. We're going to have to see. I mean, how do you feel about Pander? I mean, obviously, none of us know a ton about Pander. He's been on and off with, like, on the fringe of being a pro for a handful of years now. And it's just a weird situation with him as a whole. He's kind of getting tossed into the fire right here. At least personally, it's hard to imagine a world where they're significantly better with Pander. But what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah. I don't, like, just being honest, I don't know a whole lot about him. I feel like he can step into Enable's role. Like, I don't think it's that, like,
they're not very big shoes to fill right now.
That's what I'm gonna say. Like, no disrespect to Enable, but like there wasn't.
It hasn't been going well.
Yeah, so like I think he should have a lot of confidence coming in here because
not too much pressure.
Not too much pressure, right? Like you're coming into a team that hasn't been performing well.
Yeah, you've already got your contract.
You got your contract. Like, you might as well just like shake things up a little bit. play your best and then just see what happens,
Yeah, I mean, they're hybrid gaming. They're Seattle's, AM squad has been looking good.
Yeah.
Of course, that squad's Spoof, Vivid, Super, Pander, and Proto, which Pander and Proto are the two that are the academy players for Seattle.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the decision, was whether you brought on Pander or Proto. They decided with Pander, which is interesting for sure. I'm not convinced, like I said, that this thing's going to go too far. Rex, what are your thoughts with it?
I think Pander is probably so ecstatic about being brought up, and that he now has a chance to try and almost prove himself on like a big, in front of a lot of people, where it's like if he plays really well, like other teams would be like, maybe I'll pick him up, like Mutineers or maybe not Rokkr, but like Ultra or Guerillas would be like, man, we're looking for rosters which is Pander played really well for Seattle. Like, this is Pander's chance. This is his time to this is his chance to break in. So I feel like that pressure is going to be on him. So yeah, it's hard to say. I think Pander could do really well, or he's going to fail.
Yeah, I mean, based off how Enable talked about it, it seems like they're going to do a one-event trial run, and then if it doesn't go well, then Enable's back in the starting lineup. So, I mean, at least that's the impression I'm getting. I don't know if you guys are getting anything different.
One event, how much practice does Pander have going into this first event, too?
The Los Angeles event is March 7th and 8th, so they have 3 weeks of 2.5 weeks of practice as his team with Skrapz to figure out his role.
Yeah.
Since obviously they're not going to be here at Atlanta. So that's kind of the debate. I mean, we talked about that. That's why we thought there was a good chance for the change, because they weren't going to be at Los Angeles, or they weren't going to be in Atlanta, and so they're going to be at Los Angeles. They're going to be in Dallas the following or 2 weeks later after that. So if they wanted to switch back, it would make sense because they got an extra week in there to prepare between Los Angeles and Dallas. Yeah. So I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I was just gonna add on like we are starting to see now. It's gonna be an interesting vibe with pros knowing that they're not completely safe.
Because before their pro points were their insurance.
Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see if you're gonna start to see more fires lit under these pros that haven't been performing well, like TJ Halley and JCap and Aches and these guys, and are they gonna take it seriously and realize that they are expendable? And not to say they should be scared at all times, but management wanting to see numbers more than anything. It's just not to be about who's playing the best right now. We're gonna get you in. So
especially in an inaugural season where you're trying to build your brand as an organization, it's so crucial to be good, and Seattle can't afford to be bad right now. So that's kind of where that goes. I mean, we'll definitely keep you guys updated in that situation. Again, I don't think there will be too much news on it until we're previewing Los Angeles, and then we're reacting to Los Angeles, because that's when we're going to know how that went for Seattle. So I'd be surprised if it's more than a 1 week experience or 1 event experiment. And if it works, then Enable might get traded in that 3 week span, which would be really, really interesting to see the first trade go down in the CoD League
already.
So I'll be excited to see what happens with that. Next up, the next topic we got here is the rule changes that were implemented this past week for Search and Destroy and Dom. I mean, it wasn't massive changes, but they were real changes that are going to affect how the game plays. Dom is now gone from a 6-minute half to a 5-minute half, so from a 12-minute game to a 10-minute game. And S&D rounds were reduced by 30 seconds, so pretty significant actually, from 2 minutes to a minute 30. So it's going to really significantly speed up a lot of Search and Destroy games. What are you guys' opinions on that? Do you think it's good for the scene, good for Search and Destroy, good for Dom, good for the teams, or how will it affect gameplay moving forward?
I am a huge fan of the changes personally. Going into S&D, just from my experiences with game battles, taking out Arklov,
the waiting game
with an A push, that was sometimes just painful, where you're just nading, smoking.
And if your nades don't hit,
what do you do, right?
Yeah.
And the defense team can just wait there. Offense team can rotate around, but now there's actual pressure now. 30 seconds doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is a whole lot when you come down to each S&D round. So
yeah,
I'm a huge fan of that. I haven't really seen pros feedback if they're all majorly happy about it. I would assume they're being
In
happy
Dom,
about
they're
it.
pumped.
And then Domination, obviously, like you're taking a minute off of each side, right? 6 to 5, which is going to be huge. I think that we help the game be more watchable. It's still going to be hard to watch. I am not a fan of Domination, just watching it, but yeah, I think they're positive changes.
For sure, Rex.
Yeah, I think Domination, good change, speeds it up. What makes it a little bit more exciting and able to keep your attention on it longer.
Yeah.
And then S&D, okay. Like it's just like I didn't mind it so much at 2 minutes, but now it's a minute 30. It will speed it up, and that could make things more interesting. But almost countered like with the Arclov thing, attacking that A bomb site in Arclov is really hard, and now that you're making them speed up, it's almost gonna be like B bomb is gonna be the main bomb to go to now.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see
because
how
you don't
changes.
take your time anymore at A bomb. Like you have to if you're gonna attack it.
Yeah, and it's harder to rotate now. Like if A's not working, you're gonna have less time to back it up and go B or vice versa for any map.
Yes, it will make it faster, but then you almost take a little bit of like the tactics out of it. I'm so on that one. It's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just feel like my first thought is Arclov's the only map in Search where I'm a little hesitant with if it's actually a positive change. But I mean, like for Petro, for Ramaza, like not gonna matter. You know, it rarely did you feel like, okay, we're down to like 3 seconds left here. We need to plant this, or 10 seconds left here. We gotta get this bomb down now.
You don't even
rarely
think rotating,
is that an issue.
like it's gonna make rotating more.
Yeah, I just when it comes to
too.
pros though, I think it more affects like 3v3s or 4v4s like in game battles than it necessarily does with the pros. Because generally the pros are like, all right, we're hitting B, we're going B. No matter what happens here, they rarely rotate. I mean, it's something you don't see very often, especially.
But now you're just eliminating that possibility almost.
Yeah, I would say Petro is like, if you're going A, good luck rotating to B.
Yeah.
With a minute 30, like that's not gonna happen. So that's where it's gonna change. But I don't know if it necessarily
limits those slow flanks too.
Yeah, like
so like
really
those
slowly...
tactics are taken out, you know. So.
For sure, I think there are some changes overall, but like as a big picture thing, I don't necessarily think it's going to change the imbalance of teams' abilities too much. Like it's hard to imagine that a good S&D team suddenly shows flaws because of a time change in rounds.
Yeah,
so.
and just
I agree.
As a counterpoint, it might make setups even stronger too. Like where you have to
teams who have good strategies.
You have to break this hill faster now. Maybe that it strengthens up their pushes, their defenses. So it could maybe even add more tactics if you think about it, like where they have to go back and revamp all their strategies to accommodate for a lesser time. But it'll be different. Obviously, I guess time will tell if it will be
like
worse
slower
or less.
flanks, like more sneaky. Now you kind of have to be more fast.
Yeah, I mean,
more aggressive.
How it really changes the gameplay is like now that they had increased previously how often you can get search or wow.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not.
Are you having a stroke?
My hands are shaking, dude. What? No, but
dude, you guys keep cutting out for me too. It's so annoying.
Yeah, man, you hate to see it. They increased how often you get dead silence or trophies, and then everyone was like, "Wow, you can get dead silence like twice in a round now." So now they eliminated that time to regain it. So you're gonna get DS less per game now because of the rounds. But I'll be excited to see it. Really, the Dom change was what got me really excited about that as a whole. So there were moments where Dom games just kind of dragged on.
Yeah,
You're just like, oh,
especially when you know who's gonna win. It's just like
the last 2 minutes of a Dom match are useless.
It was just a great change.
Yeah, so I'm 100% down for that. The next news segment was Crim exposing the Huntsmen for breaking gentlemen's agreements. So on stream, Crim basically, apparently, this is all supposedly based off what this Reddit thread was saying, that he was on stream. Supposedly he didn't get picked for 10s. I have not verified that information, that he didn't get picked for 10s. And then he was like, all right, chat, well,
here we go.
I got something irrelevant that he wasn't picked for 10s.
I got something to show you.
Just going to do it just for entertainment.
Yeah.
It could have been.
He was just like, well, I got something to show you. as if this is like some like big deal,
thing.
like he's dropping a bomb. And he just shows a clip of the Huntsmen supposedly using 3 stuns instead of 2. So the GA is 2 stuns, 2 flashes, and 1 smoke. Which, there's big differences there, but like, yeah, that
going from 2-2 and 1 to 3-1-1. It's like okay. Sure. Gentlemen's agreements probably should be followed within the pro team.
But we don't even know if they were purposely doing it or imperpurposely doing it.
Well, Arcitys did tweet. He said it wasn't on purpose. It's because they had to go to the other monitors during.
Yeah, it only makes sense.
But
so they had to rush.
But then to wrap it all up, that's not the reason why you got beat 3 times in a row, for sure. So
yeah. I don't think
he lost all those maps because of stuns.
Yeah. No. This could have been just a joke. He probably it helps fuel the fire between the two rivalries and builds a storyline, but it's definitely not the reason why they lost to Huntsman.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's just Crim stirring the pot,
yes,
just
absolutely.
consistently stirring the pot when he's just all about. I mean, him and the Huntsman at this point have like a real rivalry going, which is pretty exciting. But I don't know how much you can call it a rivalry when one team's winning 100% of the time. So hopefully down the road here, the Empire can snag a series or two to make this thing more interesting. So we just wanted to touch on that real quick because it was something that was being talked about the past day or two. So the only other news thought that we had was the CDL finally launched their official show, which before MLG were doing trading shots, which I think everyone really liked for the most part. It was a pretty enjoyable series. And now they still got their gold. They still got their gold Astro headset, but there's a different cast for the most part. And I don't know. I mean, I'll let you guys talk about it first if you guys have any real thoughts or opinions or hot takes about this as a whole. But what were your guys' thoughts on the whole contesting the points show, and what were your impressions?
I'll be honest, I saw a few clips, didn't really go into it, so I'm not gonna say a whole lot there. But I do know Nameless was getting a lot of flack.
He was getting roasted.
He's getting roasted.
Yeah.
But I think he put out a tweet you need someone to not agree with everything everyone's saying, which I agree. You do need a devil's advocate, a person kind of wanting to stir a pot a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's just people just wanting to hate on someone, right?
Right.
But yeah, again, I'm not gonna talk too much into it because I didn't really watch
for sure
the whole thing.
Rex, what were your thoughts?
I really liked Malik as a host. I thought it was good. And then I feel like it's kind of blown out of proportion, the hate that Nameless is getting. I don't get it. They're doing a little show. I watched it and I didn't think anything. I just watched it, moved on. I nothing about it stood out to me as
He did
crazy
say a few things. I was okay,
yeah,
so
it's entertainment value. You're supposed to have an opinion. You're supposed to do the opposite of whatever the person said or the same. I don't know. It's supposed to be just fun.
So my biggest problem with the show overall was that how it was organized and set up was the problem. So how they set it up was basically they literally assigned sides. So there was here's our topic. Envoy's the MVP. And then there was all right, I can't remember who. It was Chance, you're defending it. And then Nameless, you
Chance
have to pick someone else. Chance attack it, Nameless defend it. And for every single topic was how it was done. So it was is Paris the real deal or whatever? All right, Nameless, attack it. So then you're forced to give a weird take. What I didn't like about how they approached it was they approached it they truly believed what they were saying, and that was the problem. They should have been okay, I'm supposed to defend this. This is hard to defend, but here I go. But they really embraced the topics that they had to have, and so that was kind of I think why Nameless got all the hate that he was getting. So in my opinion, that was just not very clear or not well It wasn't made clear, and they didn't embrace the fact that they were forced to take these topics or take these sides.
It was really kind of forced content in that way. It's make
that's
them
why
have
I didn't
separate opinions.
Trading shots was just give your opinion, which is how it should be. Not you have to defend or go against or attack this. I don't know. It doesn't.
But it's not as interesting when it's all right, who's the best team in league? And then all three were just like, Atlanta. And it's like, all right, good talk. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So it's like,
But
so I see what they were
it's
trying
like-
to do, but it just doesn't work because it's not truthful. It's not genuine.
Yeah, but I just feel like a good host would then be like, okay, well, here's the devil's advocate opinion, you know? Like, here's another point of view.
Yeah.
But, like,
Here's how
overall,
it could happen,
it's just
sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I just don't think the show, that's what they need to get more comfortable doing. Anyway, that's kind of more of a rant than anything else. Let's get officially into the juice of this episode, which is the full Atlanta predictions. We've got our brackets back, as we did last week. There's a lot to go through here. We're predicting all the matchups for the event. Last week it went pretty well for us. I mean, we did talk about this briefly, but I'll just mention it again. Last week, I went 11 for 13. Rex went 11 for 13, and Sam unfortunately went 9 for 13. But again, this was because he switched around which matches Paris and London or Paris and New York would trade. So
could have been nasty.
he could have been killing it. So
Maybe.
we're back at it again with the predictions, going match by match. So I guess we can just start from the top. Group A, the first matchups from that group. These aren't in order, but let's just go through the groups themselves. So the first matchup is Atlanta FaZe versus OpTic Gaming. I mean, where should we go with this one, right? That's the real question. Do you guys have any opinion could be differing or any reason for why Atlanta might choke a match like this?
J-Cap's going to get stepped on and spit on.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, boys out. Maybe we should cut that part.
He's not confident about it. Wow.
I feel like that was a little mean. I feel like I went too far.
A little bit too mean.
Well, that means it's staying in.
The only way that FaZe choked this is that they're literally down a man.
Oh.
Someone gets sick.
Okay, wow.
Horribly sick.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
Priestahh throws up again.
Yeah. And then Journey's in the middle of a match downstairs, so he can't come up to sub in.
So it's 4v5.
It's 4v5.
And even then, I wouldn't completely go against FaZe. If I had to be honest with you.
Because OpTic's playing a 4. No, this is unfair hate.
I mean FaZe.
We all got FaZe. All right.
Not know?
Next match, Mutineers in the same group. Mutineers versus Royal Ravens. This is a pretty interesting one because we haven't seen Mutineers since Minnesota. Obviously, they weren't at the last event. I mean, same thing with FaZe and OpTic Gaming, but we have seen the Royal Ravens. They've looked pretty good at times. In some matches, they looked beatable, and they end up losing to Empire, obviously. Where are you guys at with this matchup, Rex?
Oh, man, this was a tough one for me.
Same.
I ended up choosing the Ravens, but I could definitely see the Mutineers pulling out with something. But Wuskins has been looking so good, and there's nobody on the Mutineers that's seems like they're playing so good. So I feel like Ravens has the upper hand. And plus, Ravens is also a tournament ahead. I don't know how Mutineers are practicing, like how good their practice is. I know they had timing issues and all this stuff in their practice before. People weren't getting on, so I went with Ravens.
It's just so weird because Ravens, they're good, but then they lose sometimes. It's just this weird you can't completely 100% count on them.
Yeah,
it's just very strange because like you're saying, Wuskins is going off, and you have this talented roster, but
right, in launch weekend. They should have never lost 3-0 to Paris.
But then they get 3 by Paris. What is going on? But yeah, so my prediction was I actually have Mutineers winning, which could be a hot take. I don't know, but you'll see.
That's pretty hot.
You'll see later on why I did that because Mutineers or Ravens are going to be playing again, and Ravens will be winning out on that one. But
if you flip this thing again, that'd be hilarious.
It might happen, but yeah. So first one for me, I got Mutineers.
Okay, all right, yeah. So in mine, I've got the Royal Ravens. I just think the slaying power isn't there fully with the Mutineers. Again, if you watched my videos previously, I like Prestinni a lot. I think all of us like Prestinni a lot, but I just don't know if that roster as a whole for the Mutineers is necessarily there to pull it all together, especially against a team that's had good practice and looked solid in London like the Royal Ravens. So that's why I'm going to stick with the old London squad. So now down to Group B, still in the first round, is the Rokkr versus Legion, which is actually the first match of the weekend, scheduled wise. So we're kind of split on this one.
Another hard one.
This is really, really tough. We've only seen the Rokkr play 2 matches, and they were against the 2 worst teams debatably in the league. Where are you guys at with this one? Sam, you can start us off.
Yeah, so I just starting off, I did pick Rokkr. This was definitely the hardest match of the tournament just to pick, just because, again, like Josh said, we don't know. We think Rokkr is pretty good, but we can't confirm that really.
They beat Guerillas 3-1.
They beat
the Ultra
3-1.
So it's like, but then Paris is good too. But do you 100% count on them to win this type of match? I don't know. So I'm assuming God or X is gonna have an amazing game. They come out. They have been looking good in scrims. From the few scrims I see, they do look pretty good. So I have Rokkr actually coming out on the first matchup.
I'm excited to see Rokkr play. It's hard to pick a game like this when we just don't know what we're getting with the Rokkr.
Right.
I'll let you go first, then I'll talk Rex. So fire away.
All right. So I feel like with the Rokkr vs Legion, I think it's gonna be Legion. I've started to become more and more of a believer in Legion. I think they're starting to look better and better every time I see them play.
Yeah.
Dens is really good. Kismet, like, they all have the potential to be really great players if they're not already. So, and plus I hear in the practices they didn't lose any scrims today. So, I think Legion can take it.
I will say, was Kismet sick?
Oh yeah,
that was the rumor in the first match.
Sick too. One of the players was like sick, so he's like, I wasn't at 100%.
Yeah, I think that was Kismet, which would be
one of their better players.
Yeah. So that's another thing to take in consideration is, was he at his full? I don't know. Again, that was just a rumor, I think.
No, that was a rumor that they were both sick. So that's why, supposedly they struggled in the first match.
Yeah.
And then ended up beating New York in the second one.
But
I don't know. It's really tough for me. I want to pick the Rokkr because I just feel like that roster is just really fun. And I don't believe in... I mean, Paris is Search and Destroy. I don't know if it's just because of Arctilov or what it was, but, breaking down that game, they looked so bad in those searches against the Huntsmen. And, I don't even feel like it was a situation where the Huntsmen played crazy good. Their setups were just really bad. I don't know. They weren't playing fundamental Search and Destroy at all, at least in the Arctilov match. But they 6-0'd the Subliners in their Ramaza match. Yeah. So there is a place where they come out, they play well, and I think they beat the Rokkr. So I have them beating the Rokkr there. I have Legion moving on. So
they took off 2 hard points from Huntsman.
That's what I'm saying.
Actually,
they took it to a map 5 against the Huntsman.
Yeah, and lost both. That was the thing. The hard point wins versus the Huntsman is hard for me to get out of my head right now. So I'm stuck in my own head when it comes to Legion Huntsman.
Yeah. Honestly, Legion they could blow out Rokkr. It's a possibility.
Yeah, it is.
But
so the last group play match of the first round is the Huntsman versus the Ultra. The Huntsman versus the Ultra. We all got the Huntsman. I mean, there's just no chance.
There's no world where it exists.
This is a 4v5 world.
Ultra can beat Huntsman, but
yeah, it's gonna be rough. So that sets us up for. Do you want to do the losers bracket? Let's do the winners rounds first. So we got FaZe versus Royal Ravens in the second round of Group A, which is a really fun and interesting matchup. I think it's really, really cool. Where are you guys at with this one? Rex, start us off.
I have Atlanta. Atlanta!
Was there any second guessing here for you, Rex? FaZe Royal Ravens is a real opponent, I mean, not as if OpTic Gaming isn't, but
not like it couldn't happen, but I feel like Atlanta's gonna win. Although we haven't seen Atlanta play, we only saw them at the Minnesota event, and there's been a lot of time, and these other teams have played at events, so who knows how well Atlanta's been practicing, but I still feel like Atlanta's top tier, so I say Atlanta.
All right. Yeah. Sam?
You
got Mutineers. So you got FaZe versus his Florida here.
Yeah, FaZe for sure. There's just a tier system. It's throughout the power rankings,
there's tiers.
There's a power tier, and FaZe is just a tier above Mutineers. So
as far as we
for
know,
me,
tiers above.
yeah.
As far as we know.
Again, no one can 100% say that for sure, but like just by looking at the gameplay and
I mean the nitty gritty of the matchups, it's like how is FaZe gonna lose? It's gonna come. They have to
just break.
You
down.
basically, I mean, I don't know if you're beating FaZe in search. It's hard to imagine unless something fluky kind of happens.
Domination's on a game mode where I can see like you take a map off.
So it's like
domination.
Right, Dom, and then hardpoint. You have to play against an elite hardpoint team.
Just a bunch of slayers. Like, how do you beat?
So it's like Royal Ravens has slaying power, but I just don't know if they have what it takes to take FaZe.
I know.
And so it's like the only team that FaZe, it just mathematically it's hard to imagine where we think FaZe actually is right now that they lose to anyone besides potentially the Huntsmen. We'll see if we end up getting there.
Mm-hmm.
But I got FaZe as well. So we all have Atlanta coming out of the winner's side of Group A. Now let's just stick in Group A for the losers then. That, for me, has an OpTic versus Mutineers matchup. For me and Rex. For Sam, we got the OpTic versus Ravens matchup in the losers round 1.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an elimination match. Whoever loses is knocked out. Sam, what do you got?
Yeah, I've got Ravens here.
Beating OpTic.
Yeah, Ravens versus OpTic. I feel like Ravens just have the bigger slaying power. OpTic will get to a point where
they're scary.
They are scary, but they're not there yet. At least I don't think so. Unless they've done some major growing within the past 2 weeks. I don't know, but yeah, no, I've got Ravens beating OpTic here, which would put OpTic as 0-2 for the weekend.
I'm really hoping OpTic shows something. Again, COD's so much better when OpTic's good. And the storylines would be just so good if OpTic's in a good spot.
This isn't the real OpTic.
Right. No, for sure. But people still hate him. So
yeah, there's the storyline.
Me and you, Rex, both have OpTic versus Mutineers here.
Mm-hmm.
And we both have OpTic going through, it looks like.
I know, and I hate myself for it, but
that's the real question. ShadyNero,
I was shocked to see that.
Picked OpTic Gaming to beat Prestinni and the Mutineers.
I know. I guess I just don't believe enough in the Mutineers, and there's something about the OpTic team that they can pull out some sort of miracle in that way, because there are talented players on that team, and this seems like the sort of matchup where those talented players would just shine, and they're just going to come out, and I think they can beat the Mutineers.
Right. I mean, again, now that we know that Paris is a good team, I mean, it was a 3-2 match versus OpTic in Paris in Minnesota, and then OpTic had to play Huntsmen.
Yep.
So we haven't seen a good shake of what OpTic could potentially be, besides a 3-2 versus Paris, which is close. And if Paris is a top 4 team, then it's hard to think that OpTic's a terrible team, right? I mean, maybe they're not top 4, but they're in the middle 4. They're the middle 4.
Middle of the pack.
So I got OpTic as well. I think the hard points are going to go OpTic's way, and then the searches and the Dom are definitely iffy, but I'm going to bank on OpTic taking that one home. So now that sets up for me and Rex, OpTic versus Royal Ravens matchup in the losers finals, technically, to advance to the single elimination bracket. Sam's got the Ravens versus Mutineers.
When I think about reliability, I have more reliability on Ravens than Mutineers. Like Mutineers, I just don't know. They have talent. They got Prestinni, they got Havoc. They should be, but
I'd be interested to know, how the Mutineers and Ravens have played in scrims. Obviously, we don't know.
Yeah.
At all recently, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's something where we just don't know what we're gonna get from the Mutineers. Like in your narrative, where you have the Mutineers winning in the first round, it's one of those narratives where the Mutineers catch them off guard in round 1. They do some different things, and then the Ravens figure them out and beat them the second time around.
So that was my storyline. Was Mutineers somehow pull it off the first time, Ravens come back. It's just weird for me because you would have thought if Ravens would have won a homestand, it would have been their own London, and they didn't.
I know.
So it's just really hard to if they didn't win that, do they
look
win
worse now?
Yeah. Do they look worse now?
did the homestand affect how well they played?
So
those are all questions that have to be answered, and like that's why I'm not convinced the Ravens are the team right now. But at the same time, you look at that roster and like, okay, well, they should be good.
They should be good. Yeah. So Ravens comes out for me as the loser of Group A.
So me and Rex are neck and neck right here with all of our picks in this group. Literally the exact same so far. So Rex, what are your thoughts with this matchup? Ravens versus OpTic.
I think Ravens can win, and I feel like Ravens just have the better chemistry, and I also believe they carry the slang power to keep up with it. So, I think the Ravens will win.
Yeah, these teams are built really similarly. They're built around hardpoint. They're built around what you'd expect to be good respawn teams. The weakest link argument is a pretty strong one, though, where you're only as strong as your weakest link, and JCap, unless we're seeing a whole new beast this time around, I'm just not convinced that's going to be the case. So I have to take Royal Ravens when they on paper seem to be pretty comparable. So I'm going to take Royal Ravens to advance.
Feels like.
Yeah, exactly. So that puts us down to the losers, or to the Group B now to pick that. We had, me and Rex had Atlanta, and all of us had Atlanta and Royal Ravens coming out of Group A.
Yes.
Into the single elimination bracket. In Group B now. So we went through the first round. Second round matchups, me and Rex have Legion versus Huntsmen, and Sam once again differ from us, where Sam has the Rokkr playing the Huntsmen.
Yes.
So Sam, since you're the differing one once again,
yes,
defend your takes here.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Yep. So Huntsmen for me is going to be the clear cut winner here. Rokkr would have just edged out Legion, right?
Makes sense.
Huntsmen again, just when you're looking at tiers, Huntsmen and FaZe are in that top tier. There's a pretty big gap, I still think. So it's just hard to, like, maybe in some scenario, like where we saw Paris take 2 hard points off of them, I don't think Rokkr is going to be able to take off 2 hard points off of Huntsman. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, all in all,
makes sense.
All in all, Huntsman win it out there in that group here.
I mean, I think for me and Rex, we have a pretty interesting matchup again with the rematch of Huntsman and Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Do they?
In my opinion, the Huntsmen figure out the Legion and they wipe the floor with them in this series.
Yeah.
That's my thought process. Is that the Huntsmen got taken back by their hardpoint play and didn't expect it at all, and they'll come out firing on all cylinders here and take it to Paris this time around. I don't know, Rex. What is your thought on that? I definitely got the Huntsmen going through here. I think in a 3-1 or a 3-0. But Rex, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I feel like maybe Huntsman went in to Legion maybe underestimating them a little bit, and now that they've got a grip on how they play, I feel like Huntsmen are gonna come out on top just because they figured it out.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it too. So that puts us down to the losers bracket, where we got in the first round of losers the Rokkr versus the Ultra. I mean, this all depends on kind of where we see the Ultra right now. Me and Rex have that. Let me say, Sam once again differing with the Legion versus Ultra. Yeah. So Sam, take us away once again.
Yes.
Yep.
So Legion Ultra. Ultra to me, I don't have any confidence in Ultra. They haven't shown anything that would make me believe that they could win against a team like Legion, who have shown signs of strength. So Legion for me, take this one pretty handily 3-0, I would assume. So Legion moving on, Ultra 0-2 for the weekend.
Yeah. Rex, we're really on the same page with this tournament.
We really are, dude. We only have slight differences.
Do we have any differences?
I don't think you have any differences.
Well, no, the
my
Ravens
God.
OpTic, I had... Oh, wait. Never mind.
Yeah, we have to pick some map counts in the championship bracket to figure things out here to split the difference. But we've got Legion and Rokkr playing, and we both have Legion going through, which is interesting considering we both picked Legion to beat the Rokkr in the first round as well. So we got a two match count for the Legion in this tournament. Rex, what's your thoughts on that? Like,
I think Legion are on the up. I think Legion are only going to get better and better. I don't see Rokkr progressing as fast as the Legion have been. And you just like as Legion kept it real close with Huntsman, closer than pretty much all the other teams. So yeah, I have to go with Legion.
Dang. I don't know. This was like my toughest pick here. Like, I really think the Rokkr could pull this one off in the rematch versus Legion. Like, this could be like the reverse scenario that Legion had from last week or from London. But I agree with you. The difference is just I have way more confidence at this point in Legion when it comes to hardpoint. The search is still so up in the air for me in the rematch. So I'm going to take the Legion. So we're still matching somehow. Mm-hmm. But I'm not feeling good about it. That's the match right there where I think it's the biggest chance for me to be wrong. Because I'm always right.
I think the OpTic Mutineers match I feel like could be swayed the other way. But
agreed.
Yeah.
So that lines up our championship bracket, where we all have FaZe playing the Legion in round 1, and we all have the Huntsmen playing the Royal Ravens in round 2.
Oh, that's
so
nice. Look
at that. We're all matching up again. This is beautiful that we can kind of talk about all this. So what are your guys' thoughts on this Atlanta Legion match? What's the argument for the Legion here? Is there one? And where are you guys at with it?
Go ahead.
I have FaZe coming out, and because they're FaZe and they're really, really strong, everyone is scared of them except for maybe the Huntsmen. And Legion, they're good. They have potential to get better. They're not Atlanta good. But we'll see. Maybe Legion will take a map or two off of them. But, the slaying power of Simp and Abezy is pretty crazy.
Yeah, the thought I have for this is like the X factor when it comes to like the AR battle, like with like a Dens versus Major Maniac.
Yep, I can see that happen. Yeah.
Is there a world where Dens outplays Major Maniac, wins some of those rotation gunfights? Dens played incredibly well inside the objective, which is something that Atlanta hasn't really maybe seen as much when it comes like the AR play, especially when in tournament they haven't seen it. So that'll be an interesting. That's where I'm like, okay, that's maybe the argument for the Legion, but at the same time, it's like, again, the search and destroy. Mm-hmm. I just don't see how the Legion take a search and destroy off FaZe. So it means they have to beat them in 4 maps, but are you really? That means you're taking off both hardpoints and the Dom. I just don't see the argument, which is why I feel like FaZe is going to be there.
Yeah.
Are you in the same boat?
Same boat. Yeah. I'm. Again, like I was trying to like find like what would be the scenario there, but
the silver lining.
Even if you have Dens outplaying Major Maniac, you're gonna assume too that both Simp and Priestahh
and
and Abezy are not gonna be playing better than Kismet, Zed, Luca, which
Kismet is the only one I could see maybe keeping up a little bit.
But Kismet had his rough matches even during his good tournaments.
I don't even think that'll happen, but I feel like the players are just too high caliber on Atlanta.
Yeah. All right. So we all have FaZe going through into the championship round. The other semifinal match is the Huntsmen versus the Royal Ravens. Another very interesting one, which is a nice switch up from the last tournament. So where are you guys at with this matchup, and what are your guys' thoughts?
I think the Huntsmen just take it again. This one could be close. Again, Ravens, we do know. I'm pretty sure I've said it like 5 times already in the podcast, but they do have slaying power. Again, Weskins is a monster in this game. He came out of nowhere. We had talked before. I think everyone assumed Skrapz was going to be the better twin, but then Weskins just kind of came out of nowhere.
Weskins really is the X factor, though.
Yeah. So if he performs amazingly, there's a chance, this goes to Game 5 and, who knows with S&D. But, again, I think most people consider Huntsman just a tier above the Ravens still. So I've got the Huntsman, and I'm pretty sure we all have the Huntsman moving on.
Yeah. For me, it's like Jordan rated so far this year haven't looked good.
Yeah.
And, it just sucks because it's like they need them to be there if they want to be an elite hardpoint team. Mm-hmm. And so far this year, I mean, Dylan, Skrapz, and Weskins have just carried in respawns, and especially Weskins in most of this game. So I'm very interested to see how this would play out. But at the end of the day, it's like I just don't see the road where the Huntsmen lose to both hardpoints. I just don't see that happening, so that's why I as well have the Huntsmen going to the grand final, which sets up the matchup.
The match.
That we're all looking for here.
Everyone wants to know.
Everyone wants to know. Everyone wants to see. So if we don't get this, I think everyone will be pretty pissed.
Absolutely.
The Atlanta versus Huntsmen, the FaZe versus Huntsmen match in the grand finals. Looks like we might be different a little bit here, Rex, for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Rex, you're the odd man out here. You have the Huntsmen taking home the championship.
Man.
What's the argument?
So, I think the Huntsmen in Atlanta, their slaying power, you could argue that Atlanta's slaying power is a little bit higher, but I don't think it's so much higher that it's going to be, like, it's just going to carry the whole game. I think the Huntsmen's intelligence with the game and how they play, like, each game mode, is better than Atlanta.
The technical gameplay of like Dom and Hardpoint.
The technical gameplay of the Huntsmen, I think, is what's going to win, is going to have them win against Atlanta.
Yeah. I can see the argument.
Because the slaying power isn't so crazy different. Like, it's different, but not by a lot. But the game IQ of the Huntsman, I think, is
so I'll argue your side for a second.
That's
here.
What's going to carry it.
Yeah, I'll argue your point of view. I mean, the X factors for me are Cellium and Major Maniac, who haven't been. Well, I mean, Major Maniac's been in grand finals, but he's never won.
Mm-hmm.
In Black Ops 4 with Gen G, and Cellium hasn't been in a grand final. So that's the argument. There is like, okay, what happens if the nerves or they kind of choke? There's a world where they choke. I trust the Huntsman's roster. Obviously, they're all veterans. They're all beasts. They've all been there before. So that's the argument. Well, Envoy, up until last event, but Envoy looked fantastic. So that's the argument there for like anti-FaZe is that, well, what if Cellium and Major Maniac just doesn't show up in the grand finals, and then you have a situation where the Huntsmen you just trust that roster more, so which is possible. So,
but they got the homestand crowd behind them too.
I know. Well, let's be honest though, the Huntsmen are going to have their fair share.
That is
of fans.
true. That is true.
But I bet Atlanta's going to have a lot more fans though. Based on what we've seen.
I mean, hopefully, I'll be excited.
I'll
be
there, baby. I'm hyped.
Yes,
I'm hyped.
Yes.
Subtle flex.
Subtle. I like. Again, if the homestand crowds have been carrying through, like we've seen, Minnesota had a lot of fans. London obviously had a lot of fans. I hope we see a huge turnout for Atlanta. Yeah. That would be amazing. That would just mean that this franchise model is working as it was intended. So, that like kind of going into why I picked FaZe.
We both have FaZe.
FaZe. FaZe. All of our power rankings, I'm pretty sure we all had FaZe, above Huntsman, paired with the homestand crowd, which I think should be majority Atlanta. But
I'll be really interested to see what maps they play in this series. Mm-hmm. Like when it comes to vetoes, and like if the Huntsmen are vetoing for their strengths or for like FaZe's quote unquote weaknesses. And again, like we don't know because we have only seen FaZe in 2 matches where they dominated. So it's like what are we supposed to do? Like that's why I'm very interested to see how the maps end up playing out, because I want to know what type of searches they're going to play against each other, because I just don't think the S and Ds are going to be the X factor. I see this series going to get 5 games.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
I feel like it only makes sense.
Games, yeah.
And plus I want the hype, because let's be honest, who doesn't want the hype? But I don't know. Like in a series like this, what's the X factor for your guys? Player or other storyline for you?
Well, like you got to think about like the S&D, right? So like we saw opening weekend, we saw Huntsman struggle with S&D pretty hard, and then this past weekend it seemed like Huntsman turned S&D around, and I can see the arguments. Well, did their opponents just kind of fall, like kind of crack in the S&D, or did Huntsman actually show some real progress in the S&D? Obviously, we know FaZe is a super strong S&D team.
That's what makes me nervous about the matchup, I think.
Yeah. Do you see Huntsman possibly having built up their S&D to a point where they can take one off of FaZe?
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, they don't scrim S&D against each other. So, like, in a world, we don't know who's better, and that's why it makes it so interesting. And this is so exciting. Like, we know in hardpoints and DOMs, they split it fairly evenly. So it comes down to map and who's better on that given day. And then the X factors have to be the search and destroy.
Yep.
I just have full faith in Atlanta's ability in search and destroy. And I think they're more technical in search. Mm-hmm. I don't know about... I agree with Rex that I think in respawn, Huntsmen are definitely more tactical, which is why the matchup is so intriguing and so interesting. And there's so many big names and so many superstars in the matchup. That's why I don't think you could really be more excited about it than that. But I don't know. I got FaZe at the end of the day in a game 5, a really close one. And I am very, very much excited about it. So when it comes to MVP conversation, Rex, who's your MVP?
MVP, Huntsman win. I think it's going to be Scump.
Oh, wow.
Because we saw a little bit of that old
big for
Scump coming out in the last tournament. I could see it happening again in this FaZe game. And I think it could be Scump.
Wow. Okay.
Interesting.
Sam?
Man.
Your FaZe VP?
Gosh. I don't want to say Simp. Just because I don't, like...
You don't want to be basic?
Don't want to be basic. I don't know. Could Cellium be an MVP?
He definitely could. But...
Will he be, though?
I mean... I'm either taking Abezy or Simp. So whoever, if you take Abezy, I'm taking Simp.
Not Priestahh?
Priestahh, well, the thing is that Priestahh is now playing the OBJ role on this team. Is he not?
I mean, he's playing more of the OBJ role.
Yeah, which is insane to say. That caliber of a Slayer is playing.
Generally, Abezy likes to play it, though. So.
Yeah. But, yeah, obviously, Priestahh is amazing, but then you got Simp and Abezy. It's like... But they're like even more amazing.
I know, you go through the roster and be like...
It's just hard to pick an MVP. If I have to just pick one, Abezy.
Okay. Well, I'm taking Simp.
Yeah.
So, I just feel like at the end of the day, if Atlanta's going to be as good as everyone's saying they're going to be, and if they're going to win this tournament, if they're going to beat the Huntsmen, it's going to be because Simp is the best player in the game.
Yeah.
And he is the best player on the map. Like,
he's pretty
I just don't see a world where if FaZe is the champion, Simp isn't the best player.
Yeah.
The only other argument would be Abezy, I think,
Yeah.
when it comes to a guy who dominates the map and does the most for his team, the most valuable plays for his team to win. Mm-hmm. It's gotta be Simp or Abezy. So that's why I think we're going no fail there. So when it comes to other teams, who is the biggest sleeper of a team and like most underrated team in this tournament? There's a few options there. Like, who's a team that maybe could make the run that we're not giving the chance right now? Because all of us have the same 4 coming out of the groups. Rex, who's the biggest sleeper?
Is Legion a sleeper?
No. Because we all have them coming out. So one of the 4 teams that's not coming out. Mutineers, OpTic, Ultra, or Rokkr. Who's the biggest sleeper out of those 4 teams?
Rokkr.
Don't sound too confident.
Mutineers or Rokkr.
Why? Sam, if you want to help him out here,
I think I'm going to say Mutineers is going to be my biggest sleeper, actually. I'm going in thinking that they haven't been practicing well. I don't know where their team chemistry is at. But they could definitely show me wrong in that way, and show that they have improved a lot. They have this team kind of chemistry. Prestinni could start showing up really hard on the map and carrying his team. Sky's in the same way, with having a good showing when we saw him last. So, yeah, I think it could be Mutineers.
All right, Sam, what are your thoughts?
I was going to say Rokkr, just because I think that Rokkr Legion game is going to be very close, and I have Legion just edging out the Rokkr. So if I'm going off of the best team to not make it, it's going to be the Rokkr. Because I have the Ravens and Mutineers playing, and I think the Ravens will be a pretty dominant team over Mutineers. But yeah, I think that it's either going to be Rokkr or Legion making it. into that single elimination bracket. And yeah, whoever doesn't make it in will be the best team.
Interesting.
That doesn't make it in.
I guess I'll go with the quote-unquote curveball here, and I'll say OpTic Gaming. Obviously, they're not coming through the winner's side of the group because they're not going to beat FaZe. But they could beat the Mutineers, and they could beat London, which would send them through. I'm not ruling it out. I think there's a world where, like, they surprise the Royal Ravens. JCap comes out. If they figured out a better role for JCap to play, TJ feels more comfortable on the map. He needs to have more time on his game, practicing, scrimming, and, like, being able to figure out things. And maybe because they played Paris, they played the Huntsmen in Minnesota, they're a little bit underrated at this point. I feel like they're the only team that people feel like they know where they're at. Like, people will say, well, we don't really know where the Rokkr are. We don't really know where the Mutineers are, but we know where OpTic is. So, I don't think that's true. I think there's a lot of untapped upside with OpTic earlier than a lot of people think, which is why if JCap can find that or feel more comfortable in, like, maybe like an OBJ role, or if they ended up switching roles recently, then there's a world where I could see OpTic really surprising teams. So that's why I'm going to say, the green wall is out here as the biggest sleeper. So the team that's most likely to bust, what team could you see busting more than busting everywhere,
Ultra.
more than anyone else?
They're just going to be... Ultra's just going to tank again.
But, like, are they really busting if everyone expects them to bust?
Well, we have to pick people, like, in a championship, like, who we pick to go forward.
Right. I would feel like a bust would be a team out of the 4 teams that went through.
Okay.
What team would you be most likely to bust?
Ravens, for me.
Ravens?
I can see Ravens busting.
I want to see the Ravens bust. Why, Rex?
I could see them. They just kind of feel like that team that, like, they're showing a lot of heart on Twitter and, like, they're grinding really hard, but then when they show up, it just doesn't happen. I don't have a lot of faith in Rated as a player, to be honest.
Yeah. Same.
So, and Jerd as well. So
I feel a little bit better about Jerd than I do about Rated, but
I mean, Rated's definitely the lowest one on my list for me. So I could see Ravens definitely busting really hard. Like, they don't even have their home team, like home crowd. So I could see Ravens just not doing as well as they thought they could.
No, that makes sense.
You're on the same page, or where you at, Sam?
Yeah, because, like, I think I said at the beginning too, like, if you were thinking that London was going to win a homestand, it was going to be at London, and they didn't. So do they look better, or do they, like, just is it downhill from here for them? Obviously, I don't think it's complete downhill. They might not look
ultra bad.
Ultra bad, right? Yeah. Thank you. But
I love it.
Yeah, I probably out of those 4 teams, it would probably be Ravens that would probably collapse.
I'll say Paris. I'm totally fine with the Ravens pick. I mean, obviously, it's not
kind of solid though, don't you think?
No, I agree. But again, my worry comes with the search and destroy. If Rokkr is surprising in search, they could go game 5 and they lose in a search game 5. Like, I think there's a world where that definitely is possible.
Yeah.
And then you get sent down to play against the Ultra, you beat them, but then you're playing, probably the Rokkr again. Maybe you lose both. I don't know. There's a world where it could go down both ways. I'm not convinced, but the Legion's more of like the squad where I'm like, okay, in tournament, once I see them and they look decent, I'm going to feel good about them for that day or for that event. But, like, week to week, I'm not 100% sold that this roster is a top 4 roster. And I just want to see it again. So that's why I'm going to take him as my biggest sleeper. So our last conversation is the most improved player from last event. So out of the teams that are here from last event, who are you looking to potentially be the most improved player? There aren't that many options. Mm-hmm. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm kind of looking at the teams that I've only played at the launch weekend and we're not at.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, just to kind of see. I'm looking through the stats right now.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. We can do most improved player from launch weekend or from CDL London.
I would like to say TJ.
Oh, I mean, it's a good candidate.
Yeah.
Good candidate.
He tanked launch weekend. There's no way around that.
If fans are butts about that.
So I do think again, like that, I picked Shotzzy last time because again Shotzzy tanked. Like he couldn't go any lower than the launch weekend. So I'm assuming TJ can't go any lower than the launch weekend.
Yeah, you just the safe bet of pick the guy who really can't be worse than how bad he was.
Yeah, so definitely, even if OpTic doesn't win a game, or if they win one game, you can still say TJ might be able to plot some stats there to at least make it close. So.
Yeah, okay, I can get behind that. Rex, what's your thought?
I kind of feel like Assault on the Rokkr.
Oh, interesting.
Could turn around and do something. I've always remembered him to be like, he's always been good, just never been on like these amazing teams. But I could see him making a good comeback, even stronger than he showed at launch weekend, and becoming really good.
Yeah.
So I could see Assault being that guy for me.
Okay, I can get behind that. Yeah, I mean, man, my initial thought is, oh gosh, honestly, what I hope it is Looney, because Ultra, he has played really bad the first two events, so I'm hoping it's Looney, but I'm just not sure if that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you with TJ, honestly, though. Like, when it comes to how I've been talking about OpTic, I think TJ makes the most sense to have the bounce back, so I'm agree with you. I'm going to say TJ. Yeah. So, that finishes up our conversation about CDL London. We got one last little segment here that we want to do, because we wanted to be able to have a draft for this podcast. We didn't have one for the last two. Yes. So, this one is from a tweet from CDL 24/7. They're kind of a new Twitter account, but they put out a good tweet of a tiers ranking. $5, $4, $3, $2, and $1 tier rankings for players. And it's one of those classic create a $15 roster. So all of us were tasked with the job of creating a $15 roster. I don't know if either of you guys have like your idea already set in stone or if you want to go through it. But
I have an idea.
You already have your idea. So let's all go through our first pick real quick and we'll just kind of go one by one. Don't take too much time, but
Are we saying like after one person picks it, you can't pick that person?
No, you can't.
It's just whoever.
We're taking all of we could all have the exact same 5 in theory, but
gotcha.
I have a pretty strong thought that's not going to happen.
But,
yeah. All right. So Sam, who's your first player you're snagging?
I am looking through this list. I was looking.
There is some strategy here.
Yeah, I am looking for the ones that are steals, and for me, the one player that I think is the steal is Priestahh at 4. I think Priestahh should be a $5 player. And so I'm saying that Priestahh, I'm benefiting $1 off Priestahh. So
yeah, you're stealing $1.
I'm stealing Priestahh for first.
Okay.
He's not a $5 player, but
yeah. So for those of you who aren't listening or aren't watching on YouTube, this might be a little confusing. Yeah. But if we went through all the players, it would take forever. Yeah. So you just kind of follow along. Yeah. We'll talk about all the prices of the players as we go through it. So Rex, who's your first guy that you're anchoring your team with?
I think I'm gonna have to pick Formal.
Ooh, the suspense. Oh, you're going $5 Formal.
Going $5 Formal. I think Formal is such a consistent player who always is like near the top of the leaderboards every single time. And he just has a calming presence on his team. I almost picked Simp, but I feel like Formal just has that veteranness to him that I like, so I'm gonna go Formal.
Okay, all right, I can get behind that. I guess we'll do the draft format. And I'll just say my first two.
Yeah.
I also think the $4 tier has 2 specific steals in it that I just think they should be $5 players, and those are my first 2 picks. It's Envoy and Priestahh. I think those 2 guys combined are nasty. They should be $5 players, but they're not. And I think I just stole the draft.
Yeah.
So Rex, who's your next player.
I'm gonna take Clayster because
Oh wow,
Clayster looked really good.
He's $4 by the way, so he is a $4 player.
He is a $4 player. He looked really good in London. He was putting up stats, even though he's old or whatever. But like, he was really good. Like, I thought he looked amazing. So
he has looked good. I 100% agree with you.
yeah. So I took Clayster. So I'm at $9 right now.
Cool. All right, Sam.
And my other
Your next two.
Yeah. So next to looking at the $4 row again, just be a little different because Envoy is an amazing player, right?
Yes.
However, this year Weskins has been a phenomenal player.
Oh wow.
And so I think I would take Weskins at $4.
Dang.
It's
Okay.
it's undeniable his stats.
Yeah.
The past two events. So I think I would do Weskins.
Okay. All right.
If I'm thinking about value of my money here, and so there's that, and then next choice is gonna be kind of weird.
Yeah. So you're sitting at
$8.
$8 spent right now. So you have 7 left.
So
For 2 more for 3 more players.
So do I go for a 5 and then 2 ones, and then just hope that those players carry it, or do I go for 3? I'm gonna go for 5.
Oh wow.
I think.
So then you're going 2 ones after this.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go for it.
I'm gonna go with Simp.
Okay. All right. I mean, you can't
go wrong.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. So we'll see
All
what
right.
happens.
Okay. All right. Rex, you're back on the board.
Formal Clayster Zoomaa.
Okay.
I think he is still a good player. Just doesn't have a great chemistry team. So I feel like Zoomaa is my guy.
All right. I don't hate it. So right now I'm sitting at the 2 $4 phenoms in Priestahh and Envoy, which is nasty. So I'm at $8. I got 7 more to spend on 3 players. So I could go, like, I'm incredibly tempted to go the Octane route here and go the Sam strategy and then just suck it up with 2 $1 players, which the $1 tier is a little dry.
Just a little bit.
A little dry down there. But, oh man. So if I go a $4 player, I can snag then a $2 player and a $1 player as my last 2, which would feel decent at least.
Yeah.
Which I might just do. So I'm going to go... Oh, man. I'm going to go Dylan, who's in the $4 tier. So I'm going to stick with 3 $4 players. And I got now I need to pick a $2 player and a $1 player to round out my team. So, I mean, the slaying power I got with Priestahh, Envoy, and Dylan right now is pretty insane. And then I'm going to take... Oh, the $2 tier is tough. So my thoughts here, I'm looking at Shotzzy as maybe an upside pick.
It's a huge upside.
A Sim as a potential upside pick as well. Other than that, you're looking at like Jerd or, Zero maybe. But I'm going to take the upside pick in Shotzzy, I think.
Not bad.
At the $2 tier. And then I'll round out my last pick at the end. So, Rex, you're back on the board.
All right, and then I'm going to pick Frosty.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I don't hate that. It's a pretty quality tier.
Yeah.
How much is he to let the audience know?
$2. I have $1 left in my account. I wanted to go Shotzzy maybe, but just for you're playing like right away. I don't know. Shotzzy can definitely grow, but I'm trying to build a winning team off the rip here.
I feel it. All right, Sam. You got your last 2 picks here.
Yep. So far, just to let everyone know, I've got Priestahh
At 4.
I've got Priestahh at 4, Weskins at 4, and then I've got Simp at 5. So I've got $2 left on 2 players. So I'm picking 2 $1
The
players.
$1 tier.
So this one, I think, is going to be a big upside pick. I'm going with Brack.
Who's currently not playing,
but I think he should be. I wholeheartedly think he should be.
Oh,
and so I'm going off of...
He doesn't look as good as you think he does. I'm just going to say it.
Bro, have you seen his clips? You haven't been watching.
I've been watching his stream. He doesn't look like amazing.
He should be starting. Bro, this is a $1 tier, okay? hop off.
He's just aggressive as hell.
And then for my other $1.
Yeah, other $1.
Do I do 2 benches and pick Blast?
Man, you're throwing some shade at the other guys who are starting in this tier right now. I mean,
but like realistically, Blast should be over Aches right now.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the argument.
No, I'll do Bance.
Okay.
I think he had a good London event.
A solid.
Not great, but he had a solid for his first one coming on. So yeah, so I'm gonna do Brack and Bance as my $2 to $1 picks with a total of $15. So total again, just so everyone knows, Simp, Westkins, Priestahh, Brack, and Bance.
All right,
and
Rex.
I'm not too confident.
So I have one pick.
You got your
left.
final pick.
Yeah, I have one pick left, and that pick's gonna be Enable.
Yep.
So Formal, Clayster, Zoomaa, Frosty, and Enable. I think it's a solid squad for as much money as I was allowed to spend.
Me and Rex have been in tune tonight, so my final pick as well, to round out my $15 team, will be Enable.
And the fact that you picked Brack over Enable blows my mind. But
I don't think Enable is that good of a player. But
better than Brack.
I think Enable's been put in a bad situation where he can play the role he needs to play for a team. And like on my team with the Slayers I got with Dylan, Envoy, and Priestahh.
Yeah.
And then Shotzzy, you got Enable. I'll be in good shape. I'm feeling pretty good about that team. That's a winning poll team right there. So again, this poll will be
drops
up.
like a point, like
this team will. This poll. This poll will be up on my Twitter, SalvationsElite, the following day after the poll goes, or after the podcast goes live. So on Wednesday, the poll will be up. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been a long episode. This is our longest one yet by far.
Really long.
We appreciate all support. We really, really do. And it means a lot. So as always, I'm Josh, SalvationsElite. To my right is BackBO3. And in between us is Rex ShadyNero. And we will see you next time. See ya.